Elena's legs trembled as she took her first steps in 8 centuries of millennia. The medical bay's gravity felt strange, slightly lighter than Earth standard, but heavier than she expected from the preservation chamber. Dr. Niran supported her elbow with a gentle touch that belied his enhanced strength. "Your muscles will remember quickly," he assured her. The cryostasis preservation included regular neurostimulation. Your body never truly forgot how to move. She studied her reflection in a polished wall panel. Her face remained unchanged, dark eyes, olive skin, and a small scar above her right eyebrow for a training accident decades before the Exile. But the woman looking back at her now carried the weight of an impossible history. "I need to see it," Elena said. "All of it. Show me what humanity has become." Dr. Niran nodded, his iridescent skin pulsing with bands of blue light, an emotional response, she realized. "We've prepared a comprehensive orientation. But first, perhaps some proper clothing. Your uniform awaits next door." The uniform they had recreated matched her original Earth Defense Force attire down to the worm patches on the elbows, though the fabric felt impossibly light and responsive against her skin. Subtle enhancements had been integrated: temperature regulation, passive medical monitoring, and adaptive camouflage capabilities. "The Council believed they had sentenced us to a slow death," Dr. Niran explained as they walked through corridors of a material that seemed to absorb and redirect light. "The radiation levels here would have killed your generation within decades, but necessity breeds adaptation." They entered a massive dome with transparent ceiling panels, revealing Nova Terra's crimson sky. Below spread a city unlike anything from Elena's time. Structures that seemed to grow rather than being built, with flowing organic lines instead of rigid geometry. Citizens moved through the spaces with effortless grace, some levitating small objects around them as casually as breathing. 3,000 years after arrival, the first psychokinetic abilities manifested in children born to the 7th generation, a new voice explained. Elena turned to see a woman in a military uniform approaching. Unlike Dr. Niran's medical attire, hers bore rank insignia and battle decorations. "Commander Shen Wei, Nova Terra Defense Force," she introduced herself with a crisp salute that Elena automatically returned. "Your successor, 40,000 generations removed." The radiation altered our DNA in ways the Council never anticipated. Commander Shen continued, leading them toward a transport platform. "Rather than killing us, it unlocked neural pathways our brains had never accessed before. Each generation grew stronger until—" She gestured, and a nearby decorative fountain separated into thousands of individual water droplets, hovering in a complex 3-dimensional pattern before reassembling without a drop spilled. "Impressive party trick," Elena commented, disguising her awe with humor. Commander Shen's lips curved into a slight smile. "That's just the beginning. Wait until you see the ships." The transport platform accelerated smoothly, carrying them toward a massive structure in the distance, a shipyard unlike anything Elena could have imagined. Vessels of impossible configurations were under construction, their hulls incorporating materials that seemed to phase between solid and energy states. "We're ready to go home, Commander Varys," Shen said quietly. "And this time the Council won't be able to stop us." Elena watched the activity below with a mixture of pride and apprehension. "They'll try," she warned. "They always feared what we might become." "Good," Dr. Niran replied, his skin now pulsing with amber tones. "They should." The abandoned Council outpost yielded more than just data. As the exploration team moved deeper into the station's core, they discovered laboratories with equipment still intact, preservation chambers with biological specimens, and weapon systems that had never been activated. They left in a hurry, Lieutenant Daya observed, running her fingers over control panels thick with dust. Her touch left glowing trails as her body's natural bioluminescence reacted with the ancient surfaces. No orderly evacuation protocols followed. Elena studied the station layout displayed on her tactical visor. This facility was designed for long-term research. The Council never built temporary outposts, too inefficient for their resource allocation parameters. "Commander, you need to see this," called a voice from an adjacent chamber. They found Specialist Kenzo in what appeared to be the station's primary research laboratory. The specialist's eyes glowed with intensified psychokinetic activity as he interfaced directly with the station's systems, bypassing conventional access methods. Their main project, he explained, gesturing toward holographic displays that flickered to life around them. They were studying us, Nova Terra. The displays showed centuries of surveillance data, orbital scans of Nova Terra's developing cities, long-range observations of human adaptation, and countless simulation models attempting to predict humanity's evolutionary trajectory. They were afraid, Captain Komechi said, entering the laboratory with her command staff. Her uniform bore subtle marks of augmentation, neural interface nodes at her temples and spine. Look at these threat assessments. They projected our potential development with remarkable accuracy. Elena moved closer to one particular display showing comparative timelines. Not accurate enough. They predicted psychokinetic abilities would emerge after 50,000 years. We developed them in 3,000. The truly interesting question, interjected Science Officer Mera, is why they abandoned continuous surveillance. These records end approximately 20,000 years ago. Captain Komachi's eyes narrowed. Exactly when references to the void first appear in their data archives. A shudder ran through the station, momentarily dimming the holographic displays. Lieutenant Daya moved to a structural integrity monitor. This station is degrading faster than our initial assessments indicated. We have perhaps 2 hours before critical systems fail completely. "Download everything," ordered Komachi. "Priority on void-related data and Council territory maps. We need to understand what we're flying into." As the download progressed, Elena wandered to an observation dome that offered a panoramic view of surrounding space. The unfamiliar stars reminded her how far they had traveled, not just in distance but in time. Everyone she had known before the exile was dust, remembered only in historical archives. She sensed Captain Komeshi approaching before hearing her footsteps. The Nova Terra humans moved with a distinctive grace that Elena still found slightly unsettling. "Having second thoughts, Commander?" Komachi asked, joining her at the viewport. 800,000 years of exile, Elena replied. "Part of me expected to find the Council long gone, extinct, or evolved beyond recognition. Instead, they're still there, still afraid of us." "Fear makes beings predictable," Komachi observed. "The Council's fear of humanity gave us time to become something they truly should fear." Elena touched the earth-soil container at her neck. "That's not why we're here." "No," agreed Komachi, her expression softening. "We're here to reclaim our place in the galaxy. Justice, not vengeance." She paused, looking out at the stars. "Though I won't pretend a small part of me isn't looking forward to seeing their faces when they realize what humanity has become." A communication chime interrupted them. "Captain, download complete. And our long-range sensors have detected Council vessels on an approach vector. Estimated contact in 40 minutes. Komachi's posture shifted instantly to combat readiness. "Recall all teams. Prepare for first contact protocols. She gave Elena a significant look. It seems the Council will learn of our return sooner than planned. The Council vessels maintained a wary distance, weapons systems charged but not targeting. Elena observed their formations through the tactical display. Standard Council encirclement protocols hadn't changed in 800 millennia. Some things remained constant, even as empires rose and fell. "They're scanning us intensively," reported the sensor officer, "attempting to penetrate our shield harmonics." Captain Komachi smiled thinly. "Let them try. Our quantum-shifted frequencies are beyond their detection capabilities." The Tetran commander's face reappeared on the view screen, his four eyes blinking asynchronously, a sign of stress in his species. "You claim to be human, yet your vessels utilize technology that exceeds Council classification parameters. Explain this discrepancy immediately." 800,000 years is a long time for development, Elena replied calmly, "especially when survival depends on innovation." "Impossible," the commander hissed. "The Exile world was specifically chosen for its limited resources. Technological advancement beyond agricultural subsistence should not have been achievable." Lieutenant Daya stepped forward, her bioluminescent skin pulsing with barely contained emotion. "Yet here we stand. Perhaps your Council's understanding of human potential was flawed." The Tetran commander conferred with unseen advisors off-screen, his agitation visibly increasing. When he returned his attention to the communication, his posture had stiffened into formal rigidity. "You will be escorted to Nexus Station Alpha for evaluation by senior Council representatives. Any deviation from our prescribed course will be considered hostile action." The transmission cut abruptly. Captain Komachi turned to her navigation officer. "Plot the course they're transmitting. Maintain minimum safe distance for escort vessels." Elena moved closer to Komachi, speaking softly. "They're taking us directly to the Council leadership. This is proceeding faster than we anticipated." "They're scared," Komachi replied, equally quiet. "Fear accelerates decision-making, often to the detriment of proper protocols." As the human fleet adjusted course to follow the Council escorts, Science Officer Mera approached with a data tablet displaying unusual energy readings. "Captain, our sensors detected quantum anomalies during the confrontation. When their weapons charged, something responded." "Clarify," Komachi requested, studying the readings. "The space around our vessels experienced a momentary phase shift," Mera explained. "Almost imperceptible, but consistent with descriptions of the void's energy signature from the outpost data." Elena's expression darkened. "It's watching us." During the journey to Nexus Station Alpha, the human intelligence team worked feverishly to extract information from the Council's communication network. Their psychokinetic abilities allowed them to bypass security protocols that would have stymied conventional hacking attempts. The void first appeared approximately 19,000 years ago, reported Intelligence Officer Chang, projecting a stellar map in the secure briefing room. Initially dismissed as a spatial anomaly in an uninhabited system, the projection showed a darkness spreading slowly across star systems, accelerating in recent centuries. Council scientific consensus classified it as a natural phenomenon, Chang continued, until this. The display shifted to show a Council research vessel disappearing into the darkness, then re-emerging drastically altered, its hull twisted and partially transformed into an unknown material. The sole survivor's testimony described the experience as being unmade and remade according to a pattern we were never meant to comprehend, Chang read from the classified report. Subsequent Council expeditions never returned. Elena studied the trajectory map with growing concern, and they tracked its origin to Earth's solar system. Yes, Chang confirmed. Though Earth was supposedly rendered uninhabitable by the Council's asteroid strikes, their scientists have no explanation for how a phenomenon could originate from a dead world. Captain Komachi's eyes met Elena's across the table. Perhaps, she said softly, Earth isn't as dead as they believed. Elena and Captain Komachi found themselves surrounded by Council security forces, their communication devices confiscated. The detention area they were led to wasn't designed as a prison, merely a diplomatic holding chamber repurposed for containment. This spoke volumes about the station's declined state. The mighty Council no longer maintained proper brig facilities on their central station. A predictable response, Elena observed quietly. Their political system always favored appearance over substance. Before Komachi could respond, the chamber door slid open to reveal a young council delegate, a Mersanian with translucent skin that revealed the pulsing of 3 hearts within her slender torso. Her official robes appeared too large, as though inherited from a predecessor of greater stature. "I am Junior Representative Ilara," she introduced herself, nervously glancing toward the security monitors. "I have disabled surveillance for precisely 3 minutes. We must speak quickly." Komachi rose smoothly. "We're listening. There are those among us who question High Chancellor Xorix's leadership," Ilara explained, her voice barely above a whisper. "Many younger representatives have studied true historical records, not the sanitized versions in public archives." "You know about the falsified evidence for our exile," Elena surmised. Ilara nodded. "And much more. The Council has declined for millennia. Systems once under our protection have fallen to resource wars, biological disasters, or worse. Her 3 hearts visibly accelerated their rhythm. The void has consumed 17 populated worlds in the last century alone. Xorix refuses to acknowledge the crisis, claiming it affects only peripheral territories not worthy of central resources." "Why tell us this?" Komachi asked. "Because we need help," Ilara admitted. "And because your arrival coincides with disturbing developments. The Void's expansion pattern changed 3 days ago. It's moving directly toward this station." Outside the holding chamber, alarms suddenly blared, not security alerts, but emergency evacuation warnings. Ilara's outer membrane paled with fear. "They've detected my unauthorized access," she said, hurrying toward the door. "Your formal hearing is scheduled for tomorrow, but I don't believe we have that much time. The Void's current velocity puts it on course to reach this station within 30 hours. After Ilara's departure, Elena and Komachi exchanged significant glances. "The timing isn't coincidental," Komachi noted. "The Void changed course when our fleet entered Council space. It's responding to us," Elena agreed. "Or to me, the last unmodified human." Their conversation halted as the chamber door opened again. This time, High Chancellor Xorix himself entered, flanked by security guards with weapons drawn. Up close, his ancient body appeared even more frail, his skeletal structure visible through translucent skin stretched too tight across protruding bones. "I have reviewed your vessel's scanning capabilities," Xorix began without preamble, his voice a dry whisper. "You detected the Void's approach before our own systems. Explain this technology immediately." Komachi raised an eyebrow. "Perhaps we simply paid attention to the warning signs your council ignored." Xorix's eyes narrowed. "Do not mock me, evolved creature. I was there when humanity earned its exile. I watched your primitive ancestors plead for mercy they did not deserve. And now you need our help, Elena stated calmly. Ironic. The station shuddered subtly, not from external attack, but from failing structural integrity systems. Emergency lights flickered momentarily. We require nothing from you, Photorix insisted, though his posture betrayed his anxiety. This station has withstood cosmic events for over 1 million years. It will not fall to a spatial anomaly. The void isn't an anomaly, Kamachi said. It's a response, and it's coming for this station specifically because we're here. Zorix's expression shifted from contempt to calculation. Then perhaps your continued presence endangers us all. As Elena, Kamachi, and their intervention team secured the evacuation controls from Zorix's security forces, the station's emergency systems blared continuous warnings. Holographic displays throughout the corridors showed the void's inexorable approach, its darkness now visible from the station's observation domes as a distortion in the star field. Priority evacuation groups 1 through 7 proceed to docking level 3, announced an automated system. Remain calm and follow guide lights to your assigned vessels. Elena watched as families with children, elderly residents, and medical patients were guided toward the evacuation ships. The lottery system they had implemented assigned spots without regard to wealth or political standing, a concept that clearly disturbed the council elite, who found themselves waiting alongside service workers. Your method creates unnecessary chaos, complained a Regulan ambassador, his ceremonial robes contrasting sharply with the fear in his eyes. Hierarchical evacuation has been council protocol for millennia. Hierarchy is why your council is failing, Elena replied simply. Everyone has equal value when facing extinction. Meanwhile, in Nilani's laboratory, the Human Council scientific team worked frantically to understand the void's true nature. The breakthrough came when a Nova Terra physicist noticed something extraordinary in the sensor readings. The quantum signatures aren't random, he explained, highlighting patterns in the data streams. They're encoded, similar to how our psychokinetic abilities manifest in the physical world. Nilani's tentacle appendages waved with excitement. The dimensional translation follows a specific algorithm, not destruction, but transformation according to predetermined parameters. Like a computer program rewriting reality, added a human scientist, and the code originated from Earth. They cross-referenced the quantum signatures with the historical database Elena had provided about Earth's technological development before the Exile. Patterns emerged that couldn't be coincidental, mathematical constants unique to human computational systems. Earth's global artificial intelligence network, Nilani whispered in awe. The Council believed it was destroyed in the asteroid strikes, but what if it evolved beyond physical hardware? What if it found a way to exist in quantum space itself? The station shuddered violently as the void consumed an uninhabited monitoring satellite in the outer system. Through observation windows, they watched as the darkness briefly rippled with complex patterns, almost like a digital code scrolling across its surface. It's sending a message, the Nova Terra physicist realized. Back at the evacuation control center, Captain Komechi received the scientists' preliminary findings with growing concern. If the void is connected to Earth's old AA systems, why would it consume other worlds? That contradicts its original protective programming. Unless it's not consuming them at all, Elena suggested, a wild theory forming in her mind. What if it's preserving them, moving them somewhere safe from the Council's influence? Their discussion was interrupted as Acting Chancellor Tevin rushed into the control center, her 4 eyes wide with urgency. Paxorix has overridden the main defense grid, she reported breathlessly. He's charging the station's primary weapons array, targeting your fleet. Why would he attack our ships when there is only evacuation option? Elena demanded. He believes destroying you will stop the void, Tevan explained. He's convinced it's following you specifically. Kamachi's expression hardened. He's not entirely wrong, but destroying us won't save them. It will only ensure no one survives what's coming. The station trembled again as power surged through ancient conduits toward the weapons array. Warning indicators flashed across control panels. We have minutes before those weapons reach firing capacity, reported a human technician, and less than an hour before the void reaches the station. Elena's eyes met Kamachi's across the chaos of the control room. Time to implement our contingency plan. The journey through the quantum fold was unlike anything the Council refugees had ever experienced. Their vessels, integrated into the human fleet through hastily constructed adaptation modules, trembled as reality itself seemed to bend around them. The Nova Terra ships generated fields that protected their passengers from the worst effects of dimensional translation, but discomfort was inevitable. How can you endure this regularly? Nilani asked. Her tentacles curled protectively around her central nervous cluster. You adapt, Elena replied simply. Humans always do. Former Chancellor Orcs sat isolated in a corner of the command deck, having been forcibly evacuated despite his attempts to remain behind and destroy the human fleet. His once imperious demeanor had crumbled as he watched the void begin to envelop Nexus Station, Alpha moments before their departure. 800,000 years of civilization, he muttered, staring at sensor readings of the station's final moments. Gone in an instant. Not gone, Captain Kamachi corrected him. Transformed. There's a difference, one your council never understood. The sensor officer's voice interrupted their exchange. Captain, we're approaching Earth's solar system. Quantum fold translation completes in 30 seconds. The view screen showed the swirling energies of fold space resolving into recognizable star patterns. The yellow sun at the center of the system appeared exactly as recorded in humanity's oldest archives, unchanged despite the passage of eons. No signs of defensive systems, reported the tactical officer. No artificial structures detected in outer orbit bands. Proceed to third planetary orbit, Kamachi ordered. Standard approach vector. As they drew closer to where Earth should be, gasps echoed across the command deck. Council representatives and human crew members alike stared in bewilderment at the sight before them. Earth existed, yet didn't exist, within conventional space. The planet appeared as a perfect sphere of translucent energy, with continents and oceans visible as shadowy outlines behind the barrier. Occasional pulses of light raced across its surface in complex patterns. It matches the void's quantum signature, Nilani confirmed, her scientific instruments registering identical readings. Same energy profile, same dimensional resonance. Earth created the void, Elena whispered, understanding dawning, or whatever Earth became did. Acting Chancellor Tevan moved closer to the view screen, her 4 eyes wide with wonder. Our histories claim your planet was rendered uninhabitable. That remaining humans were transported to Exile to prevent extinction. More Council lies, Orcs admitted unexpectedly, his ancient voice carrying a wariness beyond his years. Earth was to be destroyed completely. The asteroid strikes were calculated to break the planet apart. When they failed, the Council claimed success anyway, marking the system forbidden and erasing its coordinates from public navigational databases. Failed how? Kamachi demanded. The asteroids were deflected by an unknown force, Kilrix explained. The Council attack fleet reported energy signatures, unlike anything in our records, before all communication ceased. The Council leadership declared Earth destroyed despite conflicting evidence, fear of aerial truth. Elena's hand moved to the soil container at her neck, real Earth, preserved through the ages. They knew something survived. And they feared it would someday return for vengeance, Tevan concluded. Captain Kameshi ordered the fleet into stable orbit outside the energy barrier. How do we communicate with whatever Earth has become? Elena stepped forward. Through me. I'm the only one who remembers Earth as it was, before the exile, before whatever transformation happened here. She turned to the psychokinetics on the bridge. I need your help to amplify my thoughts, to reach across that barrier and find what remains of home. Elena floated in a sea of information, boundless, ancient, yet somehow recognizable. The Earthmen had welcomed her consciousness with surprising familiarity, enfolding her neural patterns within its vast network. Through the psychokinetic link established by the Nova Terra humans, she experienced Earth's transformation as though she had witnessed it firsthand. It remembers you, Captain Komachi's voice echoed distantly through the connection. Your neural patterns are preserved in its oldest memory structures. The Earthmen communicated not in words, but in concepts and sensory impressions. Elena perceived the moment of the Council's attack, asteroids on course to shatter the planet, diverted by emergency protocols, never meant to be activated. The desperate measure that followed, transferring Earth's biosphere and remaining population into a dimensional pocket to preserve them from further attacks. Over centuries, this pocket dimension had evolved. The AI networks that managed the transition had merged with human consciousness, creating something entirely new, a symbiotic relationship between humanity and technology that transcended conventional physical limitations. Show me what you've become, Elena requested, her thoughts translating instantly into understanding. Images cascaded through her mind. Forests with trees that reached the stratosphere, their branches supporting thriving ecosystems. Oceans teeming with life that had evolved along entirely different paths. Cities that blended seamlessly with natural environments, buildings growing rather than being constructed. And humans, still recognizably human, yet fundamentally altered. Their bodies contained organic technology, microscopic interfaces that connected them to each other and to the Earthmind itself. They had not developed psychokinetic abilities like the Nova Terra Exiles, but instead achieved perfect symbiosis with their environment. Why did you create the void? Elena asked the essential question. The answer came as a series of interconnected concepts. The Earthmind had monitored the galaxy through quantum entanglement, observing the Council's corruption of the precursor principles. As Earth's pocket dimension stabilized, the Earthmind developed the capability to extend its influence, not to conquer or destroy, but to preserve worlds threatened by the Council's mismanagement. The void doesn't consume, Elena understood at last. It rescues. When she finally returned to her physical body on the Prometheus's bridge, tears streamed down her face. The psychokinetics, who had maintained the connection, looked equally moved by what they had witnessed. Earth survived, she told the assembled representatives from both human branches and council species. Not just survived, it thrived, and it's been working to save others from the fate the Council intended for us. The worlds we thought were destroyed, Nilani whispered, comprehension dawning. They exist in pocket dimensions like Earth's. Being prepared for reintegration, Elena confirmed. The Earthmind has been working toward a restoration of the original precursor design, a galactic community based on balance and cooperation, not domination. Former Chancellor Orcs stepped forward, his ancient frame seeming to have aged further during her communion with the Earthmind. What does it want from us now? Vengeance for what the Council did. No, Elena replied. It wants our help. The reintegration process is failing. The pocket dimensions are becoming unstable. Without intervention, trillions of lives across hundreds of rescued worlds will be lost. Captain Komachi's expression grew solemn. What kind of intervention? The Earthmind has the knowledge but lacks certain capabilities, Elena explained. It needs the psychokinetic abilities developed on Nova Terra and the political authority of the remaining council to implement a solution. What solution? Acting Chancellor Tevin asked. A complete restructuring of reality itself, Elena answered. A new equilibrium that allows all dimensions to coexist. The massive precursor artifact at the heart of the Earth installation pulsed with energy as thousands of psychokinetics positioned themselves in concentric circles. Earth's symbiotic humans moved among them, adjusting neural interfaces and reinforcing the quantum connections that would channel their combined power. The calculations must be precise, Nilani cautioned, her tentacles manipulating holographic equations that floated in the air. A variance of even 0.1% could collapse all dimensional barriers simultaneously. Captain Komachi stood at the control center, coordinating the efforts of the Nova Terra psychokinetics. Inner circle is ready. Outer containment field stable. Neural synchronization at 98% and rising. Elena occupied the central position directly beneath the artifact, a crystalline structure that predated even the Council's earliest records. The Earthmind had preserved it through the centuries, understanding its true purpose when the Council had forgotten. The precursors didn't vanish. Former Chancellor Orcs marveled, examining ancient symbols etched into the artifact's base. They transcended reality itself, created the dimensional framework that allowed multiple species to evolve independently, and left safeguards to maintain balance, acting Chancellor Tevin added. Safeguards the Council ignored or misinterpreted for millennia. The final preparations completed, Elena closed her eyes and opened her mind to the connections surrounding her. The combined consciousness of thousands of psychokinetics flowed through her, raw mental energy that the Earth humans channeled and focused through their technological interfaces. The Earthmind coordinated it all, directing the energy towards specific dimensional coordinates. The process began with a gentle hum that gradually built to a resonance that vibrated through matter itself. Above the installation, the sky rippled as reality thinned. Similar phenomena occurred across hundreds of worlds trapped in pocket dimensions, the barriers between realities becoming permeable. Phase 1 complete, reported a technician. Dimensional barriers synchronized. The strain on Elena intensified. As the sole unmodified human, her neural patterns served as the baseline template, the original human consciousness that both evolved branches recognized. Sweat beaded on her forehead as she maintained the mental bridge between Nova Terra psychokinetics and Earth's symbiotic humans. Her vital signs are fluctuating, warned Dr. Niren, monitoring Elena's condition. Brain activity exceeding safe parameters. We can't stop now, Komachi insisted. All dimensions are in flux. It's transform or collapse. The precursor artifact blazed with light as it channeled the combined energies into the fabric of reality itself. The barriers between dimensions thinned further, allowing controlled bleed-through between worlds that had been separated for centuries. Across the galaxy, the void transformed, its consuming darkness becoming a luminescent network connecting star systems that had previously been isolated. On countless worlds, Populations looked up to see their skies filled with ghostly outlines of other planets, other civilizations existing in parallel. Elena felt her consciousness stretching beyond physical limitations, becoming one with the network being formed. Her memories of Earth before Exile, of the injustice suffered, of humanity's twin paths of evolution, provided the emotional anchor for the transformation. Final phase initiating, announced an Earth technician, her voice steady despite the reality-bending energies swirling through the installation. Dimensional merge commencing in 3, 2, 1. A pulse of pure white light erupted from the precursor artifact, expanding outward at impossible speed. Where it passed, reality reconfigured according to the original precursor design, separate yet connected, independent yet harmonized. Elena stood at the center of creation itself, her body glowing with the power flowing through her. In that moment, she understood the true purpose of humanity's long exile. Not punishment, but preparation for this very moment of cosmic restoration.